Starting a business here in Germany requires, in fact, adequate preparation. And before you start any business, you have to make sure that you fall within all the criteria and you meet all the requirements here in Germany before you start. And also to emphasize that this presentation is only for providing general information about how to start a business here in Germany and does not cover any legal advice on visa type and also resident permits. And so if you're an immigrant here in Germany and you want to start any business, please consult with your immigration expert to check your status if you can or you are allowed to start such a business or any activities relating to secondary employment or self-employment. Okay, so to begin with, who am I? My name is Edwin Eje, and currently working as a freelance business coach and international trade consultant. And when it comes to my area of expertise, I work as a business coach and also have some specialization in competence development, innovation in business, and also when it comes to optimization. And I also have experience in corporate branding when it comes to graphic design and website design as well. And currently in Germany, I'm working on a business project which is known as Startup Vision Board. It's a consortium that is dedicated for training new startups and also existing businesses who like to optimize their operation and also scale up. And also the second project I'm working on is Trade Africa, which is a German African diaspora B2B and B2C marketplace dedicated to promote African brands, especially in Europe. And so we'll talk more about the Trade Africa later after the presentation, since this presentation is also dedicated to support those who would like to start their businesses here in Germany. And like I said earlier on, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat because I'm going to make sure that at least I cover all the questions and also answer them, those that I can hear and those that might require a bit of research. I will also do so by taking your email addresses and later sending them to you. And again, the presentation is in two parts. And the first section, because not everyone qualified to start a business in Germany, since we all have migration background, it is so very important for us to know what we are permitted to do. And so I'll cover a bit about visa and also work permit in this presentation. And going forward, I'll also share with you some overview of the German business sector, what is really happening when it comes to the German business and those who have already started businesses, how are these things going for them and what are the opportunities that are available out there for us to invest in. And section 3, I will talk about starting a business in Germany. It is also very important because I brought in this topic because some year ago, that's about, let's say, 2018, I carried out a master's research here in Germany and I interviewed a lot of African businesses, entrepreneurs. And it will shock you that the responses was very, 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 very amazing compared to other immigrants in Germany, that of the Chinese, the Vietnamese, and also the Turkish, they have a different view of doing business. But when it comes to the African businesses, I think there was something lacking. And so some people started their business on a very wrong notes. And so they wish they knew some of these information earlier before starting their business. And so that's the more reason why this presentation has been divided into two sections so that we'll cover the legal aspects when it comes to business in Germany and also what you need to know before you even start your business. And the section 2, I will not be able to cover that in this presentation because it is going to be a lot of information for this particular section. And so the part 2 will be organized this same month, next month, November. The dates will be communicated to you later after the presentation. And there we'll look at how to identify opportunity in the market and start your own business. And we also look at the administrative steps, what you have to do, where you have to go, which offices you need to visit to get your business well and also well planned and legalized here in Germany so that you can begin to operate without any issues with authorities. And also, I also share with you some few startup support services in Germany. There are some organizations in Germany that support startups, and depending on what kind of business you want to do, you might even receive some training for free. You might also begin to receive some grants for free, depending on what you have to do in this case. And this also varies from regions to region. And so maybe in your region, it might be different from a different region here in Germany. And so that will be covered in the second part of this particular training when it comes to starting a business in Germany. And so with that much we begin straightforward to also emphasize that starting a business here in Germany requires, in fact, adequate preparation. And before you start any business, you have to make sure that you fall within all the criteria and you meet all the requirements here in Germany before you start. And also to emphasize that this presentation is only for providing general information about how to start a business here in Germany and does not cover any legal advice on visa type and also resident permits. And so if you're an immigrant here in Germany and you want to start any business, please consult with your immigration expert to check your status if you can or you are allowed to start such a business or any activities relating to secondary employment or self-employment. And so having said that, I want to, so the question we have to begin with is who can start a business here in Germany? That is very important because entering into Germany, we have several ways of coming, and some came to Germany as students, and after their studies, they're trying to find a job to do. And sometimes, more especially if you are a person of color or maybe you are from Africa, it's sometimes difficult, depending on which region you are in Germany, to find a very good job in your area of studies. And so does it mean that if you are an immigrant from Africa, you can't start a business? Or if you're a student, can you start a business or not? All these we are going to see if it qualifies for any one of us to start a business in Germany. And like I said, being a student or coming to Germany as a student or joining your spouse or coming as a tourist and also change your visa, it all depends. And this can be seen also on your resident permit. So your permit will indicate if you are allowed to start a business here in Germany or not. And if you look at the example here, sometimes it is stated here that gainful employment is allowed, and some of these work permits or maybe the resident permits also come with a section or a small sheet attached to it that explains further what you are allowed to do, the restrictions and so on. So these things actually, it will be very important for you to discuss with anyone who knows much about immigration law and also employment law to be able to assist you to really know if you're allowed to start a business or not. But having said that, based on my experience and other research that I have conducted here in Germany, who can start a business? Actually, anyone with any legal residence permit in Germany. If you are legally resident in Germany and you have working permit or you have work permit, you can start your own business actually. And there are two ways of starting this business. You can either become self-employed full-time or you can become a self-employed as a part-time business, as a side business. So these also depends on your visa type. And so making this decision is really important for you to really consult with an expert to find out which option is the best for you. And whichever way you go, there are some disadvantages and disadvantages as well. And I must say that, for example, if you want to start a side business as a freelancer or something, if that become your main purpose of staying in Germany, then it means that from that particular business activity, you should be able to pay your own rent, you should be able to pay your health insurance and also your social security contributions. These are very, very important. And as a starter, sometimes the danger is that your income at the end of the month might not be enough for you to be able to cater for all these bills. So it will be advised that if you really want to enter into self-employment, you start as a side business in addition to the other type of visa that you already have. And this way you can start gradually. And if you think that's what you are starting, the business is really, really good for you and it has growth prospects, then you can go into full-time, and this way you can just go back to the Ausländerbehörde and tell them that now you want to become a full-time self-employed person in Germany. And also, if you're a student, you can still start a business, and not every form of business that you can do here in Germany, but you can work as a freelancer. For example, if one, let's say an artist, if you're a musician, there's a list of business categories that are being classified under freelancers. So if you're a graphic designer or web designer, you can still work as a freelance. If you're a hairdresser or anything that is related to skill, you can become a freelancer. If you're an interpreter, you can also become freelancer. And this will be covered in the second part, because I believe that most of us will fall in that category of starting a business. So I'll reserve more about the freelancing and sole proprietorship in the second part of the presentation. And of course, if you're already full-time employed in Germany, you can still start your own business. But with this, you need to discuss with your employer, and if they allow you to do it, then you can also start it as a side business. If you're a housewife or any independent person in Germany, you can start. But at the end of the day, it has to be permitted by your resident permit that you are allowed to take up any other gainful employment or business activities. And so if you have any question regarding this, you can still put it in the chat and I can look at it. If it is something within my scope that I can answer you, I will do. But if not, it will be better for you to speak with your experts who knows anything about immigration law to guide you in this case. And so move on to section 2, which is German business sector. The question is, does it even worth it to start a business here in Germany? And I will say yes, there's more opportunity here in Germany. So let's take a look at what is covered in the German business sector. Actually, the German business sector is, most of it is covered by the Mittelstand, as we all know. That is the small and medium-sized enterprises here in Germany. And this sector alone covers a lot of, create a lot of employment, and any business that is between or who has an employee between 10 to 500 are classified under this category. They are known as small and medium-sized enterprises. And of course, they should have their annual turnover between either 50 million euros or less. And of course, this sector is also the backbone of the German economy. And going forward, it is estimated that about 3.7 million companies fall within these categories in Germany, and they also generate from 35 to 45% of the gross national product, and they also create about 50 to 70% of the German working population. So these are companies that is really holding the economy of Germany and creating a lot of jobs for individuals, including we the migrant as well in Germany. And they also, at least when it comes to the apprenticeship section, they also create about 80% apprenticeship for other works and training opportunities for individuals. And let's see if it is important, and also what kind of activities that are being classified under this form of businesses. And it will interest you to know that technology is one of it. And also when it comes to manufacturing of any kind of goods, shipping, retail, hotel and restaurants, commerce, professional trade, occupation and services. These are the areas that are dominating when it comes to the German economy. And the way they do business is either B2B. If you say B2B, it means that they trade between businesses, and B2C means that they trade directly with customers in this case. But because of our time, I've not got much details into this section. But let's see the markets, the revenue generated in the area. And so here, I focus my presentation only on the e-commerce sector, that is the online businesses. And so as of 2020, when the COVID hit the whole world, for companies who are into online businesses alone, they generated 72.8 million euros. That was 1 year alone. That is the B2C. Companies like Amazon, eBay, O2, and all the WooCommerce or e-commerce website that we know, at the end of the year 2020, this is the amount that they generated. And this also tells us that there's a lot of potential in this area when it comes to online businesses. It tells us that the way of doing traditional business or doing business has changed from the traditional way to a digital way. And so can we take advantage of this move and also see if we can better our life in terms of our finances? And also in 2021, just last year, it increased from 72.8 to 86.7 million euros in revenue, only here in Germany. So why am I showing you these figures? I'm showing these figures because most of us here in Germany, we are doing one thing or the other, or either we are schooling or we are already engaged in other gainful employment. But, we need other source of income for us to be able to become financially independent. And I'm sharing this for you to take advantage of online businesses or e-commerce business, because it is something that is really paying. And sometimes if you get a very good web designer, things can be automated for you and you don't need much time, or doesn't require much of your time to be able to manage these businesses. But with a lot of time, you'll be able to gain some other revenue in addition to your main income stream. And to interest you the most, this is a little chart about the revenue as of 2021 concerning those who are doing traditional businesses, which is here. That was about 5.1 billion euros. That was revenue received from those who are already having their businesses in block houses or in blocks. And the the online business, that was 86.7 billion euros. That was recorded only last year. So this graph here indicates that there's much potential and a lot of things have not yet been discovered in the online business, because there are more products that can be updated, that can be put online for sale. And this is what I want you to see, and also grab the opportunity if you're thinking of any other businesses where or which method will be very viable for you to start. And so still showing you some few graphs here. This is the whole of Europe. And if you check over here, you see that the trend is going up. As of 2021, this is the whole of Europe. And we can see that it was around 530.741 billion. And you can see the indication which area or which sector it's really growing. And if you look at the colors here, you can see that the electronics and media, it's one of the things that is really growing when it comes to sales. And we can also talk about fashion. So anything concerning fashion is also going up when it comes to revenue generated from online businesses. And we can also talk about toys or DIY and other hobbies. Furniture and appliances, these are things that are going up as well, and food and personal care. And personal care can also be part of, for example, training or yoga or any other thing that's require professional training. So all these areas are growing up. And so it is estimated that from now up to 2025, there's going to be a boost in the online or e-commerce sector. And so just to give you a hint that this area is very attractive, and if you are thinking of doing any business, you can focus on this. And let me also mention that a lot of the African businesses has no or little online presence based on the research that I conducted in 2018. Most of these African businesses or African brands are not yet online, and the few that are online also lack the publicity or maybe the marketing strategies to dominate. Even if you look at the Asian businesses, they are doing well as compared to African businesses, and some Asian shops even sell a lot of African products. So the question is, what's happening? What can we do? And so if you're thinking of starting any business, think about online business. Of course, there are other businesses which is a pyramid form of business, or maybe they call it the Ponzi scheme, whereby you have to be referring other people for you to get income. I will not advise, but if you think that will work for you, fine. But for me, if you want to start your own online business, find area where you can play very well, maybe area that you are very good at, and then start your own website. Create your own website, start your own business, and you grow very well. And so that will be a piece of advice I will share with you over there. Now, having said that, we have to move forward as well to at least know, starting a business in Germany, what do we need to start a business? What must we consider? And I will say that it's very simple. And the first thing you have to look at is your business idea. And so which business idea will really do well in Germany? And so think about any business you feel that there's demand for it in the market, and then start developing it. Try and identify your customers. Whom are you targeting? Who is your product really for? And these will also help you. So because of the part 2 of this presentation, a lot of this is shifted to part 2 of the presentation. But today, I want us to focus about the legal aspect of the whole thing. Who qualifies and what must I do? Which office must I contact for me to be able to start my business? This is what the first part of the presentation is focused on. And talking about legal form of businesses and also the conditions, some of these businesses or the legal form of businesses has its own advantages and disadvantages, which I will dive into in the next slides. But under these, you also need to think about your business registration process, and also think about when it comes to hiring workers, if you want to work with workers. And it will interest you to know that when I conducted my research, a lot of these African migrants, entrepreneurs, they do employ a lot, and they share experience that sometimes they will employ people and people will hide behind sick leave. They'll just go to the doctor and take sick leave and then wouldn't come to work. And sometimes the German law also protects the labor force, and so you can't easily sack someone. And if someone is sick and will not be able to come to work, you should still go ahead and pay the person at the end of the month. Well, and so this was something that was really affecting most of the African businesses, because the attitude to work wasn't there. And there are lots that I will want to share with you when it comes to the second aspect of the presentation. But for now, let's focus on what we need to know first. And so hiring workers is also very important. So what kind of people can you hire? You can hire people that you have to at least pay their health insurance, pay part of the health insurance, and also their social security contribution as well, in addition to their wages or their salaries. And so you must know what kind of people should we employ. And at the same time, there are other category of workers that we call them the freie Mitarbeiter, meaning they are, should I say, freelancers. They pay their own health insurance, they pay their own social security contribution, and so on. So what you have to do as an employer is, on contract basis, you employ them, you work on a specific contract, you pay them, and then they go away. So you will look at which one will be more better for you as time goes on, as your business begin to scale up, and you have to employ people. Which category of hiring method or employment will really help your business. And it's also very good for you to know about the taxes and also the premium system here in Germany, because it's very important. And when it comes to taxes and premiums, sometimes when you start as a small business and you declare yourself as a small business owner, you don't pay tax, and you don't also pay sometimes corporate tax. That is the annual turnover on your sales at the end of the year. And these will also look at it more when it comes to the administrative steps in starting your business in Germany. And so these are the major things that you need to know before starting your business. Now, talking about the legal form of business in Germany. When we say legal form of business in Germany, is that, or what we are trying to say is that it is the structure of your business, and it is the legal form of your organization, or what is accepted in Africa or in most parts of the world. We know some of these businesses. We know that this is a limited liability company, this is a partnership, and it's the same way in Germany. Only that there are a lot of bureaucracies when it comes to starting your own business or registering your business. So each of these also come with advantages and disadvantages, which we shall look at very soon. And talking about legal form of businesses here in Germany, we have the least one, should I say, which is the entry level. Of course, I will come to the basic ones that maybe majority of us will be more interested in. However, I will start with the GbR for Freiberufler. That is business partnership for freelancers. For example, if an interpreter and you want to start your own business, you can partner with another person who is also a freelancer, and the two of you can come together and register the business as a GbR. And the next form of business that you can register your company in is the general partnership. That is the Offenen Gesellschaft. That's the OHG. With that one, that is general partnership. So any legal individual or two persons can come together, agreed, okay, let's start a business, and they all agree in a common business idea, and they develop the idea together and they register. The third thing is the AG, or the Aktiengesellschaft. That one is the joint stock company. That one, it's more or less like an existing company. They already existing. So two major companies coming together to merge as one. So that is the joint stock corporation company, which you can develop. But this, I should say that it require a lot of bureaucracies and also a lot of share capital for you to start this business. So as an entry level, it will be very difficult to start at that level. The next thing is the limited partnership with limited liability company as a general partnership. And this is also grouped into two, and I will explain further in the next sections. And then the final one is the GmbH. That's the most common form of businesses that we can find in Germany, and that is a limited liability company. And I will look at some few areas that we can consider and look at some advantages and disadvantages of these. And yes, of course, sometimes the startup capital is a bit huge, but there's another way that you can start if you really are interested in this form of business structure. Last but not the least is the freelance or the sole proprietorship, which I believe is the common and the easiest way to register a business in Germany. And it is so easy and very simple. And if you are thinking of starting low, this is what I recommend as a freelancer. If your business activity fall within freelancing, then you can do that. But for example, if you want to trade, for example, online business or e-commerce, you want to do import or export, then I recommend the sole proprietorship, and that is very easy and it doesn't require a lot of bureaucracy for you to start this. And so I will talk about these in the second part because that is more dedicated to practical steps and way to start your own business, developing your idea in the part 2. And so that's I will focus more in this area. So having shared with you a lot of these business structures or the legal form of businesses, one might ask what kind of business idea or business structure will be suitable for the kind of business activity that I want to do. And the truth is that it depends because it varies, and if you to ask a lot of different or maybe different professionals, and they will give you different experience because it's quite different. And so to answer this, I would say that it depends on you, the individual, your circumstances, and also your preferences, because sometimes the business activity that you want to engage in will require you to maybe register your business as a limited liability company because of the conditions, or the business activity, for example, if you are, let's say, I keep saying interpreter, or maybe you are a barber, you're a hairstylist and you want to start your own business, that's when you can start as a freelancer. And so it's all depend one on your visa status and also what you're allowed to do and the kind of business that you want to start here in Germany. And so to know more about these, I will also recommend that if you have any issue, you can write me an email, which I will share my detail at the end of the presentation, or you can also consult an expert in this area to guide you, select the best legal form to start your own business here in Germany. Great. Now, let's also look at some few things concerning the legal conditions regarding some of these legal form of businesses here in Germany. And because it is very broad, I decided to pick very few of them which are very common and then share with you their advantages and disadvantages. And whilst planning about starting a business, look at which one will be the best one for you. And so the first one is the GmbH, which is the limited liability company. And to start this company, actually, you don't really need much. Of course, you need much, but it's the least that you can start a very formal or maybe legal business, if I should say, whereby you can allow investors or you can be more attractive and also get a lot of credibility when it comes to your brand out there for customers or other partners to trust your business brand and also do business with you. So this one, you can be just one person and start this. However, you need to have at least a share capital of 5,000 euros to start this business. So before you register this business, you need to have this startup capital in your bank account before you be allowed to register this kind of business activity. And of course, if you are one person, then you need to raise this. But if you are two or more than two, then you can share these amounts and then register the business. And this is different from, this money is different from how much you are investing. And maybe, for example, if you want to hire an office, you need to build a website, you need to consult, these monies are not part of this particular 25,000 euros. There's a sort of money that you have to keep in your bank account as an insurance or maybe as a guarantee so that your company does not go bankrupt. So that money should be set aside. And because this share is not embedded in the certificate, you cannot float this in the stock markets or maybe trade with it. And this particular form of business is also regulated by an act. So there's an act or maybe code of act that is being created by the German authorities that regulates this form of business. So you must follow everything in detail. However, you can still register GmbH as one person, but that one is known as the UG. And with the UG, you can just start with a share capital of €1. Just €1, you can register that we call it the mini GmbH. And with this one, with this €1, you can also just be one person and register this business. The downside is that investors might not be willing to inject capital, maybe give you funds to start business because it's risky. If should anything go wrong, there's no money at the bank like the 25,000 euros share capital, which is already in the bank, that maybe the investor can use that to at least compensate some of the debt. And so that's the downside. However, it is also regulated that every year you need to save a percentage of your annual income towards you raising this 25,000 euros. So with time, you can start with the €1 registration, and by saving some of your revenue at the end of the month, you'll be able to upgrade from the UG to the GmbH, which is the smooth way of transitioning, and it doesn't also involve a lot of bureaucracies, a lot of paperwork to be done, and then you are good to go. So a lot of businesses or startups who don't have the 25,000 euro at hand can register with the €1, which is the UG, and then save towards the 25,000 euros, depending on which months or which number of years that they can, and then transit from the UG to the GmbH. Now let's look at some advantages of registering a business as a GmbH. With this one, it is considered as a limited liability company. And what does this mean? It means that if your business run at a loss, or maybe there's an fire or accident or something, it doesn't affect your personal properties. So for example, if I bought a property here in Germany, you have other money in your personal bank accounts, the debt or any issue concerning your business does not affect you personally. Unlike, for example, freelancer. If you're a freelancer, it means that all your business activity or revenue, everything is tied to your personal income as well. So if your business default and you are being sued by any customer and it's required you have to pay any damage, and your revenue generated within the business cannot really sort out those debts, then it means that they will come to you to seize your property or any personal belonging that can really, forfeit that debt. So that is one advantage registering your business as a limited liability. So if you have anything that is not related to the business, it is safe for you and it doesn't affect you. You can still enjoy your personal life, whilst maybe your business can go to crisis without you feeling it that much. And also there's a possibility for you to appoint directors and also managing directors. So you can decide, okay, you set up the business and you allow people to manage the company for you. And it is also very possible for you because it's not only limited to German citizens. If you're a foreigner, you can also register your business as a limited liability company here in Germany. And also, let's look at some financial privileges. If you register your business as a limited liability company, you are exempted from some sort of tax. And sometimes you pay tax, that is a trade tax. The trade tax is the tax that is charged on your annual income. For example, at the end of the year, if you're able to make, let's say, 70,000 euros, they will deduct a percentage of between 23 to 33% of that earning, and then you pay that as tax. And you can also declare your own personal salary and other business expenses or your retirement benefit as expenses, business expenses. And this is very important because when you have to pay tax, for example, on 70,000 euros annual revenue, and you must deduct your expenses before you pay the tax on the nets. This is going to help you because it also reduces the amount of tax that you pay to the government. And at the same time, it gives you high reputation of doing business and also transacting with other businesses because it is a secured way. They see that you are a legitimate business owner or company, and people feel confident doing business with you. And also when it comes to, for example, if you have to meet your clients or maybe you hire or lease a car for business trips, you can also deduct all these expenses, deduct these monies as expenses before you pay tax on your nets, which also gives you some sort of relief. Having said that, we also have some few disadvantages that you should be aware of registering your business as a limited liability company. And the first one is that you need to really, it's quite a lot of bureaucracies. And so, first of all, you need to draft or a lawyer or somebody to guide you, draft your company article. And also, you also have to pay some sort of tax when it comes to trade tax. So the trade tax is how much you pay at the end of the year based on the annual revenue or annual income. The next one is the VAT, because sometimes you're also required to pay VAT in this case. And the VAT, that one is not your money, but it's something that you charge the customer per transaction. And this you pay to the finance arms either monthly or every quarter. You need to pay, but this also depends on your personal circumstances. So you discuss with your tax advisor and also the finance arm to give you which one or which method suits your company or the kind of business that you're doing. And it requires a lot of documentation because you need to also record your annual income and also your accounting. So this is also very important, and it's quite a lot of bureaucracies. And when I did my research, I keep referring to this research because a lot of people were doing the wrong thing because they don't know how to calculate the tax system. And so sometimes they sell their product without factoring the tax aspect of it. And so at the end of the day, the finance arm will sell them money to come and pay some taxes, which of course they did not receive any money for. And so it's also very important for you to know and also seek some tax advice before you start registering your business. Okay. So I think already we have a lot of information now. So I think I will pause here for now and open the floor for questioning. And then maybe when we come to the second aspect, we can look at more about practical issue because this is more of a general information. And of course, individual cases might be different and must be addressed individually. And so it wouldn't worth spending much time to do just presentation, but also have some room for discussion so that we can address individual needs at the end and also when it comes to the second part. So I will skip now to this section. Great. So already I can see some questions in the chat, but feel free to raise your hand.